If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.
Welcome to Learn JMeter series. In last video about Terraform, we have seen how you can spin up the vanilla JMeter on AWS using Terraform. In this video, we are going to see how you can create the distributed load testing infrastructure on AWS using the Terraform module. So before we deep dive into how you can spin up the infrastructure, I would like to take you back to the previous video where we have seen about IAC, Terraform, Prerequisites, AWS setup, and how you can write some simple Terraform code. So if you are new to this video, please watch the previous part 1 video so that you can understand these terminologies. Now let us go further into how you can spin up the distributed load testing infrastructure. So as you know, we have to download and install Terraform CLI, AWS CLI, and you should have the privilege to create the IAM roles and users in the AWS console. So once everything is done, then you can leverage the Terraform module to spin up the distributed load testing infrastructure. So this module, which is already available in the Terraform registry, will spin up one node for the JMeter controller, and it will spin up n number of worker nodes. So if you are into DevOps or if you are into infrastructure maintenance, you know the pain, how much time and effort you will be spending up to spin up these instances, and you have to create some rapport between the multiple instances and network. So a lot of stuffs to take care. That's why I have created this Terraform module, which is available in this link, which will spin up exactly one controller instance and n number of worker EC2 instances. So by default, it will spin up T2 small, which is not a free tier. Please make a note. So this module, as usual, will install Java, which is Java 17 by default, and JMeter, latest version of JMeter 5.4.3 as of today's recording, and list of JMeter plugins. So once you created the TF file, then you can start with Terraform init, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, and Terraform destroy. So this module will expect at least 5 to 7 required variables, which we are going to see in a moment. And then you can just log in using SSH and you can start your test. So a lot of things can be automated, but I have just kept as minimum as possible so that it's not very complex to work on this Terraform module. So now it's time for a quick demo. Now let me open my AWS console here. So as you know, my region is Ohio, and right now there are no instances running in my EC2 dashboard. Now let us go back to the repository. So this is my Terraform module repository. So this repository has in detail about the README. So here you can see the usage, what is the sample code you can leverage, AMI, everything. And you can see the JMeter execution instructions as well. And this is the Terraform registry where you can see in detail about what is how many inputs you have to pass, and outputs and dependencies and the resources. And you can just simply copy this instruction, and then you can just fill the details in your Terraform code. And this is my simple sample JMeter file. So once the Terraform setup is done, you can use this particular script to run your distributed load testing just for validation purpose. But this also can be automated, but I have not done that. Just for the demonstration purpose, I have kept it separately. Now let us go to EC2 dashboard, and nothing is running here. So just open your favorite editor. So in this case, I'm going with my VS Code. So here I have created a simple directory Terraform test. Right now, nothing is there. So here we are going to write the main.tf. So you can name this file whatever you want. So let us go with main.tf here. So here we are going to write our infrastructure. So this is where we are going to spin up the JMeter on distributed fashion. So now let me save this, and let me just go back to the GitHub repository here, and I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. We are going to make use of this module, line number 1, which is JMeter distributed load test infra, and source is, this is the source, which is the Terraform registry source. And we are going to pass the AMI, so which AMI you are going to spin up, key name, which key you are going to use, and the version of JMeter, and how many workers you are going to spin up. Let us go with 2. And here you have the privilege of spinning up modification of the instance basically. So here you can configure the what type of instance family you need for the controller machine as well as the worker machine. So this will give you the flexibility, because controller machine you don't need something very powerful, because controller will just orchestrate the scripts and collect the results. So you don't need something very powerful. So you can go with small, but instance type you can go with say M4 large or more than that based on the load you are going to spin up. And here I have given the privilege of listing out the plugins. So in case if your JMeter script has some plugins, definitely you can just mention it in a comma separated value, which will be installed in all the nodes. So this is some basic setup I have come up. If you have anything specific in need, please raise an issue in the GitHub repository. I will try to incorporate that in the repo. So this module, what it will do is it will create the VPCs and then under the hood it will create a lot of stuffs which we are going to see, and then it will create the instances, and then it should be able to communicate with each other. So that's the whole module about. If you go to the repository, you can just go through all the TF files to understand better. So very first step, as you know, in Terraform you have to initialize. So you have to use Terraform space init and hit enter. So this will download all the modules, whatever the modules we are going to use. It will just download, and then it will initialize the backend, it will initialize the plugins, everything. So once it is done, next step is I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm going to, instead of applying, so it is always best practice to plan. So this is the second mantra of Terraform. So first is init, second one is Terraform plan. So now if you hit Terraform plan, the Terraform will process the input, and then it will display what is going to do in your infrastructure. So this infrastructure leverage AWS, as you know. And if you see here plan 27, so it is going to add 27 different types of resources, and 0 to change and 0 to destroy. So it is not going to change anything, it is not going to destroy anything, but it is going to create something new. The total count is 27. So now if you just scroll up, so it will display everything in detail what it is going to do in your infrastructure. So the module has a lot of stuff, you can just go through it, but on a high level it creates one controller node and a number of in this case 2 worker node. So these are the things we can see, but also under the hood it creates networks. It will create the resources for the networks, interface, CIDR block. So a lot of stuff it will create. So if you just keep scrolling, you can see a lot of key value pairs. And just to understand, I have given something called outputs. So if you refer my GitHub repository, you can clearly see the outputs. So if you leverage the outputs, you can also get what things it will spin up. For example, IP addresses and the name, something, whatever is going to create future. So those properties you can see it here. But for the demonstration purpose, I have just kept it simple. For more details, you can refer my repository. So here you can see AMI. So this is what it's going to leverage. And so the IP address, availability zone, everything will be applied, known only after the apply statement. So that's why it is displaying known after apply. So now just scroll down to the end. You can see the tags all, CIDR block. So everything you can see it here, and also the VPC name, all the AWS stuffs here. So now let me clear my screen, and the next step is we are going to apply. So Terraform space apply, and if you want to skip the approval process, so you can always add auto approve. So this will skip the prompt to enter yes. So I'm going to skip the prompt. So I'm going to add this auto approve command. But for your learning purpose, always use Terraform apply, and also for CI/CD purpose, always use the Terraform apply. Do not use auto approve. Hit enter. So this will create the resources. So basically it will take around 30 to 40 seconds. So I'm going to fast forward this video. Okay, now the apply command is complete. As you see here at the bottom, the total number of resources which created is 27, and 0 changed, 0 destroyed. Now let me clear my screen and let us head to our AWS console. So here, this is my AWS console. I am in the region Ohio. Right now we are in EC2 instances page, and if you just hit refresh, you can see there are 3 instances, EC2 instances, which is up and running. And if you see the name, one is JMeter controller, and there is a JMeter worker, and there is another JMeter worker. So 2 workers and 1 controller. So now let us wait for the status check to be completed, and we can just SSH into these 3 machines and see what's going on inside these instances. So I'm going to fast forward this video. Okay, now the status checks for all the instances is complete. So now let me just click on the JMeter controller, and I'm going to copy the public IP address. So now let us open a terminal, and here let us SSH into this. So we are going to use Terraform my PAM file and EC2 user at the IP address. So now we have successfully logged in into master mission. So now we are going to log in into 1 worker mission. So I'm going to split this pane to the right. And here we are going to let us change the current directory, and I'm going to copy the public IP address of the another worker. So in the left side we have a controller, and in the right side we have the worker. So no need to log in into another worker because all the workers are identical. So now just to validate whether JMeter is there or not, let me just type ls. You can see there is a JMeter folder. Similarly, here also there is a JMeter folder. So now the very first step we are going to do is we are going to validate whether JMeter is installed or not. So you can just type JMeter -v, and similarly in right side also we are going to use JMeter -v just to make sure we have the JMeter installed or not. So we have 5.4.3 in both the machines. Let me clear my screen. Now the next step is to validate the plugin installation. So to validate the plugin installation, there are a couple of ways you can do. So one is using the log file. So I'm going to use sudo cat. So under the var log and cloud init output.log. So here you can see JMeter and its plugins installed successfully message, which means everything is perfect. Similarly, here also you can just sudo cat So here also you can see plugins has been installed successfully. Now let me clear my screen in both the SSH session. So in the master session, in the controller session, we are going to download the script, the sample script. So for that, I'm going to my GitHub repo, and let me just copy this HTTPS command. So before that, by default, EC2 instance will not have Git. So you have to install. So to install Git, type sudo yum install git and -y. So this will install the Git for us. So let me clear my screen, and I'm going to git clone and paste the repository. So this is our repository. So if you type ls, you can see sample JMeter for Terraform. So now we are going to start our test. So to start the test in the distributed fashion, we need 2 things. One is which script we are going to run, which we have it now, and you need the list of IP addresses for the worker machine. To get the IP addresses, there are a couple of ways you can do. One is using the outputs.tf. So if you are using outputs.tf, you can get the IP addresses from the command line itself, or you can just log in into AWS console and get the IP address. But before that, I'm going to copy the command. So which command you have to use to run the execution. So here, if you see in my GitHub repository, I have given the sample code. Just to copy this and go to the master machine and click on paste anyway. This will have the complete command which you need to pass to start the distributed load testing. So here, if you see, let me clear my screen. And first command is JMeter -n-t. So this is pretty usual, but for the distributed load testing, you need to pass a couple of other parameters. One is -r, the remote IP addresses in a comma separated value. And also here I'm going to leverage this particular property. So basically we are going to disable the SSL. That's why we're going to pass this property. So let me just paste it here. So now I'm going to delete this sample -r, and I'm going to navigate to my EC2 dashboard. And first thing is I'm going to copy the private IP address of worker 1. So this is the worker 1, and I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and comma, and I'm going to copy the second worker IP address, private IP address, and I'm going to paste it here. So now I'm going to create some log file. So -l and run1.log. And here we are going to run the sample Terraform script, right? So we have to just use the sample JMeter script from the sample JMeter for Terraform folder. So now if I hit enter, what it will do is it will start the engine of the worker machines, and it will send the JMeter file, and then it will start executing it. So as you see here, this particular JMeter file, I think it's around 30 seconds or 20 seconds, I guess. So you can see the results. So summary 2 samples, 16 and 18. So everything is fine. So the communication happened between the master, the controller, and the worker machine, and it already transferred the script, and then it injected the load from 2 machines. So how to make sure whether it is actually executed or not? So that's why we have created this run1.log. Let me clear my screen and let us open Vim, and we are going to open run1.log. So let me close this, we don't need this. So log out, and I'm going to close pane. Okay, now this is the result. So basically the script, the JMeter script, what it is doing is it is simply sending the HTTP request to example.com, and here you can see the results. But how many lines are there? We don't know, right? So let me just enter set a number in Vim. So right now you can see there is around 18 records are there, which is totally correct, because we have seen the 18 sample results in the command line output. So our infrastructure is working fine. So now you can spin up as many workers you want and high power instance family for your load testing. So using the controller machine, you can spin up the JMeter infrastructure within 60 seconds. Within 60 seconds, you will have something solid for your performance testing needs. So now let me just escape from here, and you can also validate the JMeter log. So if you just cat out the JMeter log, you can see the information about the RMA. So disabling the SSL for RMA, and you can see some engine started. So everything you can see it in the log file, and also you can see the summary. See, all remote engines have been tested, ended the test. Everything is proper. Everything is clean. So this particular module I have tested it properly. So in case if you need something very specific, please let me know. I can try to incorporate that in my GitHub repository. So now before you sign off, so you have to properly delete the resources. Otherwise you have to pay money to your AWS account, because T2 small is not under free tier. So let me log out, And let us go to my VS Code here. So this is the place where we have spinned up. So we have to destroy all the resources which we have created. So to destroy, again, Terraform destroy command you have to use, and again you need to pass the auto approve. You want to skip the prompt. So this will delete all the resources. So 27 resources got created, right? Everything will be deleted. VPC, the table, and then ingress, egress. So all the stuffs will be deleted, so that you can promptly use your budget. And whenever you don't need something, destroy it. And if you want something, yes, you can just create it. But make sure you are using something very persistent hard disk, persistent drive, otherwise your data will be lost. So once the test is done, immediately download everything, or you can generate something HTML report, or you can just publish it to Grafana. So a lot of things you can do for the persistence. So I hope this particular session is pretty helpful, and if you have any questions, please let me know. And please check academy.qainsights.com for free courses. Thanks for joining, and have a good day.
If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.